Hello everyone, good morning and welcome to Morning Verses with Mike. Thanks for jumping in here and joining me this morning. Oh, I'm going to turn that down so it'll give feedback. Hey, I hope your day started off absolutely fantastic so far. Thanks for coming over here and joining me. And a couple quick reminders, I'm doing this every weekday morning, 6:15 a.m. Mountain Time, so I'd love for you to participate and join me on that. And if you have a verse that is impactful to you, then please share that in the chat or share that in the sidebar. I stream this video live to my Facebook page, which is Morning Verses with Mike, as well as the YouTube channel, which is Morning Verses with Mike. So it's right there on the screen. So you can just spell it out. That comes across as all one word. And I would love to impact you for some positivity. The goal of this program is just to share the Word of God, share some faith, share a Bible verse, and then get our day started off positively. So this morning, I'm going to be sharing from Philippians chapter 2, verse 8. And so let me jump in there. First off, where it talks about Philippians, I share each morning from Every Man's Bible here. And Every Man's Bible is a study Bible. This is a New Living Translation, an LT version, and there's lots of versions of the Bible, different translations of the Bible. Certainly the King James Version, New King James Version, New International Version, and so on. I would encourage you, find a version that you can connect with, that you enjoy, and read it. If you haven't picked up a Bible in a while, pick up a Bible and read it, because there's certainly some good that can come from it. So Philippians chapter 2, before we get in there, right at the beginning of the book of Philippians says, it talks about notice the role models in this book. And, it goes on to talk about some other things. But the reminder is, notice the role models in the Bible. There are people, it's interesting. Good morning, Jordan. Nice to see you, man. It's interesting that God does not always choose that messenger that you expect that he would choose. Often, God is choosing, normal, everyday people. God is choosing people that are broken to bring the message and to create the message. God is choosing people that are sinners, that are people that need God, that need the message themselves to bring the message to others. So I'd encourage you, there are so many role models and good stories in the Bible. I'd encourage you, if you haven't picked one up lately, pick one up and read it. So chapter 2, verse 8, and this is talking about the Philippians chapter 2 is talking about having the attitude of Christ. So it says in this particular verse, says, he humbled himself in obedience to God and died a criminal's death on a cross. The first phrase here, where he humbled himself in obedience to God, completes the thought that was begun in in verse 7. Excuse me. And actually, I'm going to every once in a while I'll go back and I read that second verse. I know it doesn't say that in the description. You get a bonus this morning, so to speak. But it completes the thought that was in verse 7. So I'm going to read that one too. It says, instead he gave up his divine privileges. He took the humble position of a slave and was born a human being when he appeared in human form. Then verse 8 picks up, he humbled himself in obedience to God and died a criminal's death on a cross. So when it completes that thought that Jesus came here as a servant, Jesus both was born and died in humility. His humbleness wasn't for show. That's the real deal, people. It wasn't that he was like, hey, watch how humble I am. That's not how humility works. For those of you that might not know, it was genuine. It was part of showing that genuine and divine obedience to God. And in a similar way, we're encouraged to be obedient to Christ, following the example, or to God, following the example of Jesus. So understand, Jesus did not die a hero's death on the battlefield, but instead died innocently and shamefully in public view outside the city. He was mocked and still endured for us. Jordan says, that's a paradox regarding the humility for show. Absolutely. So for us, we could all take a lesson here in sacrifice, faith, endurance, humility, and innocence until the very end. Right? We could take that true lesson. I'm going to read those two verses together one more time, just to kind of close this out. Says, and Jordan says, oxymoron. I meant, no, I got you, man. I'm picking up what you're putting down. So, it says here, 7, instead he gave up his divine privileges. He took the humble position of a slave and was born a human being. When he appeared in human form, he humbled himself in obedience to God and died a criminal's death on the cross. So take the lesson here of like I said just a moment ago, of faith, of sacrifice, of the endurance, of the humility that it takes, and maintain that innocence, that humility, that faith, deeply rooted until the very end. So thank you so much for getting up and joining me today on Morning Verses with Mike. Just so for the people that regularly tune in, so you've got this message, I am going to be wrapping up kind of this series of Morning Verses with Mike at the end of December 2018. I'm going to be replaying my 30 days of Bible verses. That was what started this last year, a little bit after this time, I think February, March timeframe. So I'm going to be resharing those and bringing them from my leadership channel over to the Morning Verses with Mike channel. So it's one of those I would encourage you to please, continue watching. I'd love to share those with you, and I look forward to it. And until we speak next, I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day. We'll talk to you soon, everybody. Thank you so much.